All right, Shalom. First off, all praises, admiration, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakahakodash, at the honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. All right, first off, I want to say Shalom to the ones that push this word out in truth and in sincerity, which are the apostles and elders on down to the brothers. And Shalom to the ones that endured his faith until the very end, until the time of Jacob's troubles, which are again the apostles and elders on down to the brothers and a few sisters. All right, so Shalom. So, want to do this lesson real quick on first off, we know there was a war in Utah, right? That was around like the 1800s. This was actually before the Civil War, right? Before the Bear River massacre, right? They had a massacre called Mountain Meadows massacre. And pretty much what you see right here, I'll just read it, skim through it a bit, right? Because first off, man, we're going to let the scriptures talk. So this says September 7th through 11th, right? 1857, right? There was a series of attacks during the Utah War, right? Resulted in mass murder of at least 120 members of the, if I believe that's the Baker Fancher wagon train, right? But pretty much to summarize this, the massacre was started by, U.S. military, right? They it was U.S. military that was actually sent to Utah, right? And they called it Utah militia. And what they did is that they started going around killing mostly, men, women, children even, right? But what they did, which is different from most massacres, is that they left some of the children alive, right, and spared them, but yet all their families were murdered, right? And that's the constant, what's the word I'm looking for? The habits of this man that rules the society, right? Because all he does is go around and commit murder. So I'm gonna get this scripture real quick. I believe it's 30 and 8. This is Job 30 and 8. It says they were children of fools. Yeah, children of base men. They were viler than the earth, right? So they are viler than the earth. That's all they do. They're literally children of fools and base men, right? They're bland. They ain't got nothing else better to do but to go around and kill, right? They're viler than the earth. And earth, especially right now, is vile. But this man that rules the society, he's way more vile than the planet's status right now, right? So, pretty much doing this off my computer though, and it helped me, better cite my resources, right? Pretty much show the documentation of what this man does, right? So, what they also did is that, here's another key factor. Right here, pretty much, they was perpetrators, right, from the Church of Jesus Christ, right? The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So this is what Jesus Christ gets you, right? This is what Jesus Christ is, right? The doctrine of Jesus Christ, right? Cesare Borgia, that's what that is. Rape, rob, and murder. That's always what it's been, right? These military were out of the Church of Jesus Christ. Doesn't that sound familiar? When they first came over to the Americas, right? Christopher Columbus, he raped, robbed, and murdered in the name of Christianity, right? Almost every single massacre that's been done and all these war crimes that's been done has been under Jesus Christ. It's been in the name of Christianity. So that's what Christians get you. That's where Christianity gets you. That's what it causes: mass destruction and murder upon this world, right? Upon this society. So let me go down further here. Um, what they did was they recruited or persuaded, that's what it says, they persuaded um uh what they call southern Paiutes. Southern Paiutes. Paiute just means indigenous people, right? So they recruited people that were from the southern hemisphere of the US, right? I mean, not of the US, but of somewhere else, I believe. And they had them disguised as Native Americans. And they had them go in there and pretend that they were Native Americans, holding up white flags, and had soldiers go up in there with white flags, making it seem like they were going to be protected, right? As it says right here. But then they let them out just to get executed, right? And it was about like three top generals around this time that was, charged for their crimes. But the rest of them, only one of them was executed, right? And in fact, I believe their pictures are down here somewhere, right? Only this one, the Gordon Ramsay lookalike, John D. Lee, was executed. But by the time the Civil War happened, that pretty much pardoned, the rest of the execution, but gave them charges, and that's about it. The same thing that you see through every single massacre that this man has committed. And what's funny is the ones that were let go, who do they look like? Cause to me, they look like the small hats and cheap suits. They get off scot free. So this is Proverbs 3:20. It says, "Such is the way of an adulterous woman. She eateth and wipeth her mouth, and saith, I have done no wickedness." Right? So what is that talking about, man? That's the haughtiness of America, right? That's the mindset of the US of A, right? That's always been their mindset of Babylon, even ancient Babylon, right? This is really what that's talking about, ancient Babylon, but also today, Babylon the Great. That's the spirit of pride, that they've done no wickedness, but all they ever done was pure wickedness. This place was built off of wickedness, right? It was built off of our blood, sweat, and tears. But yet they say that they've done no wickedness. But yet all they've done, how many war crimes has America committed? How long has America been at war? Because last time I checked, America's been at war uh, for as long as it's been standing. So when have y'all not done any wickedness? Because all throughout history, there's always been some type of war crimes going on, even during wars, right? In fact, this war crime itself, the Mountain Meadows massacre, was during the Utah wars. And that lasted only, what, 1 year? And you had a whole massacre within just 1 year of a war. But y'all have done no wickedness. So the amount of war crimes and treaties that y'all have broken, as Obadiah verse 7 states, right? Y'all have done nothing but committed war crimes, right? Massacres. Because why? Let me get this scripture. This is Habakkuk 2:5. It says, "Yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied." Right? But let me break that down. He transgresseth by wine, which is what? His pride, right? He's pure pride. That's also Obadiah when it said, "Who shall bring me down to the ground?" It says he is a proud man. That's self-explanatory. Neither keepeth at home, right? He cannot keep at home because he goes everywhere else, right? He stationed his militia in Utah to commit mass murder. right? Only one gets executed, but the ones that look the most like them rats, they get off scot free pretty much. Only very little charges. Who enlargeth his desire as hell and is as death, because this man is what in the book of, I believe, first or second Thessalonians, right? The sons of perdition. This man is the sons of perdition, which perdition goes into what? Destruction. It says, and cannot be satisfied. He has no satisfaction for what he does because he's just going to keep killing and murdering and poisoning, and ravaging this whole earth until what? There's no flesh that will be saved. It says, and heapeth unto him all people, right? Salaki, be gathered unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. Look around in America, and how many people here are all different mixtures of multitudes, right? Of nations, tongues, right? It's all different people, right? They go around all over the earth and bring them here. That's what they did in slavery. They went all around the world because the Israelites, yes, they were scattered among the world, and they still are. But especially during slavery, they went all around the world, even Europe, um, um, all the way across the earth, man. We was all over, right? The areas where Russia is, China, Japan, we was all over the place, man. We was ruling, right? But when we started falling, man, this man took the chance to gather us all and every single nation they could and bring them all here. This is captivity. And that's all it will be until this place is destroyed. So by the Lord's will, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rekahakwadash, and Shalom.